Hey everybody, Kevin Sully here to break down another race. And for this week, we want to go back in time. About a year ago, when Edward Cheserek broke 350 for the mile at the Valentine Invitational at the BU track. It was a crazy race, a very fun race. With the benefit now of almost 365 days to look back, I wanted to dig in and bring up some things that I noticed when I rewatched this race. Obviously, Cheserek still a huge factor, just ran a 355 last week. We'll see him this week again at Millrose, but this race was very interesting. It got Ches into the history books and also was just one of the most spectacular races you'll ever see on that BU track that has hosted so many fast times. So the first thing you notice before the race even starts here, we have 3 men on the start line. 4 were on the start list. Kamoy Campbell was a scratch. So we know from the get-go that this thing is going to be a pure time trial. The other clue we have, Brandon Kidder, who's set to be the first pace setter, hand already on the watch. So you know that this thing is going to be a straight time trial. 350, under 350 was the goal. That's what they stated ahead of time. Only 3 other men had done that. So Ches, from the get-go, we know this is going to be something that's set up to be quick. And that's what we have here. Now we'll get this race going. And the rabbits in this race were just fantastic. Like I mentioned, first off is Kidder, followed by Drew Piazza. Those are a pair of 145, 800 meter guys. So well equipped, but you don't always see fast times and perfect pacing go hand in hand. Sometimes runners are very talented, but they're not able to hit a solid tempo. That's not the case with these two guys, and Ches really owes them a little bit of an assist here because without them, this would have been tough sledding. And there we see already Brandon Kidder checking the watch again. So if you broke this race into chunks, you need about 28.75 per 200 meters, but that's if they're running 1600. This is 1609, so it's a little bit off from that, but this would be the 200 meter mark right here. Pardon my inexact line there. And you'd want this at about 28.75 if he was on pace. So very, very close to that when you consider that Ches is behind Piazza and Kidder at this point. So spot on pacing from the get-go. The target, 155 at halfway, that gets you to 250. But in general, looking at 28 highs for this group. As we move it forward, great crowd in attendance. We'll talk about them in a moment. One thing also I want you to notice, Cheserek never leaves lane 1, and not only does he not leave lane 1, he doesn't really ever leave the inside of lane 1. It's those little things that add up to tenths and hundredths of seconds that in record attempts are so crucial. And part of that, again, goes to the rabbits, the way they were able to get out of his way. So let's take a step back and look at history. First off, you see Stephen Haas here. This is Cheserek's coach and agent. He'll be an omnipresent figure throughout this race. But like I said, Ches is trying to be the 4th guy to break 350 indoors in the mile. Who else is on that list? Well, you got the greatest of all time. You got LG. You got Eamon Coughlin, the chairman of the boards. Spelled his name wrong. I owe the man a little more respect. Forgot the H there. And then you have none other than Bernard Lagat. These are the only guys who have gone under 350 up to this point. And a week before, Ches ran a 354 at altitude. A week before that, 353, and then a 354 before that. So he was coming off a 353 on a flat track. Before that, he had run a 354. Both of those have conversions. So everybody at this point was wondering, well, this isn't an altitude. This isn't a flat track. What's Cheserek going to be able to do on the lightning quick track at BU that's at sea level, that has these nice banks here that really accommodate for fast running? So that just sets the stage of what was to come and why there was so much hype and so much belief that Cheserek could do it, because we see record attempts all the time, and a lot of times they fall flat, but there's plenty of reason to believe that this was the real thing for Ches. You saw the split there, 57.8, so that's right on again. Brandon Kidder, give the guy a tip, give the guy a raise. He did a spectacular job there. And you know you have a good indoor race when you see this. Anybody can fill the stands, but when you got people lined up trackside, slap it on the track, and they'll get more animated as we go along. You know, this kid's already in it. Look at this. He's halfway into lane 6 right here. Ches brings out the youngsters to the track. So you know you have a great atmosphere and a good environment to go. As we move past 500 here, Kidder just locked in. Piazza, again, it's a subtle thing, but I want to make a note of it. He's running to the outside of lane 1 just to make sure Ches has the quickest line, the easiest path to running 350. Just a very, very intelligent work right there by the two pacers. Again, everybody knew Ches could run fast, but these races kind of come down to how you set them up. You need the fast conditions, but you also need spot-on pacing. A second here, a second there, and things can go completely haywire, and then your 350 all of a sudden turns into a 352 or a 353. But the whole point all along was for Ches to join this elite club. And we're coming up on halfway here. Stephen Haas getting a bit more animated, and boom. What did we say we wanted? 155. That's what we got. So he's actually, this was actually the start line here. So he's crossing with 2 to go, or sorry, with 800 to go, 2 on an outdoor track, 4 on an indoor track. So Ches basically, he's going to be a little bit after 155. So he's going to need to run something under 155 for his final 800. But because he followed the Pacers and because the Pacers did such a great job here, he will not really have to do too much thinking, because after Kidder steps off, and we're going to see in a moment here, Piazza's going to pick right up where he left off and just do a phenomenal job towing Ches through the next couple laps. So Kidder off seamlessly. Look at that. I mean, no interference when he steps off. No tenths of seconds wasted at all. Ches is chomping at the bit here, just locked and loaded right behind Piazza. You know, his experience, Piazza, mostly in the 800, 145 guy, like I mentioned at the top. So he's not necessarily used to going this long, but he's certainly used to going this fast. And I don't know if he knew it or his coach knew it, but someone knew that this guy would be a great candidate to just set this rock-solid pace for Edward Cheserek. Now he's creeping up more to the outside and freezing here. Look at this great shot here of Ches. So, great job to this point by Drew Piazza, but every rabbit has their limits when you're running with Ches. And right now he's saying, go, go, go. Either you got to speed up or you got to move out of the way, because look, 238 on the clock. We're at 1,100 meters or so. We're getting down to it, and he does not want to miss any second, so he's yelling at him. The problem is, I don't know if Drew Piazza can hear him, because you got all these fans here screaming. Over here you got fans, over here you got friends, and it's only getting louder and louder with every lap. So he's saying, you got to go, Drew. You got to go. You've taken me this far, but I need to accelerate off of it. So you're actually going to watch Ches again. He's going to yell again right there, you see. And Piazza knows it's his time, but a great job bridging that gap from where Kidder left off at 800 until we have 2 to go. And here we go, 252.5. So if you split 350 into 4 chunks, you're looking at 57.5 seconds per quarter mile. Remember, 1,600, a little bit short of a mile at 1609. So basically he needs 57.5, exactly what he asked for. He's a little short of that line, so he's going to need to close a little bit quicker if he wants to break 350, and it's all up to him now. 2 to go. Piazza's off. It's all about Ches going forward. We saw him chase times towards the end of his Oregon career, but Ches was mostly known as a racer. He wasn't known as a guy who was going to do these super fast time trials. So to see him in this setting was a lot of fun, particularly when he was coming off such a hot streak here. So 2 laps remaining now for Edward Cheserek. And again, the crowd getting louder and louder, pretty much everybody on their feet. You don't see it too often at an indoor track. Credit to that photographer. They're laying down to get the shot. Total dedication there as Ches is flying around on his penultimate lap. Again, he's got to hold that 57 pace if he's going to break 350. Let's focus in here on Stephen Haas. You're going to see it when we move forward in a second. He's run out of ways to cheer for his athlete, and now he's going straight to milking the cow. That is the strategy here. We'll move it forward. Watch Stephen Haas. There it is. That is milking the cow for Stephen Haas. He has nothing else to do. He can't scream any louder as Ches hits 1 to go. 320.8 there on the clock. So it looks as if he's going to get it. But remember, he went hard from the gun. So this isn't a type of race where Ches is going to empty the tank and have a huge, huge kick left. he is flat out here. If we could go back just a frame, I mean, look at his arms here. Total commitment with Ches right there, yeah. Get a good shot. These guys are putting something on Instagram. It was last year. Maybe Snapchat was still around. I'm not entirely sure. But Ches's arms are kind of interesting. You know, when he would kick in college, he'd always be looking around back and forth, and you want to just say, go, Ches, you're way ahead. And it's interesting, his hands almost flex out to the side as opposed to going straight up and down. Just something to watch. And it's sort of a sign that he's getting fatigued, but of course he should be. This is the last lap. He's trying to do something that only 3 men in history have done, and we'll see it. I mean, he's just throwing everything into it. His head is bobbing a lot here. The arms are coming out to the side. Still not leaving lane 1, though. Kept a very, very tight line. There's more Stephen Haas. He knows it's going to be close. And look at that. 3:49.48 is on the clock. We'll get the official time here in a moment. Gets a hug there from Piazza. He points it. Let's go back a little bit here. I love this about track. Look at the point. Hey, man, you did it. Look at these faces. Whoa. Whoa. What'd I just see? Oh, my gosh. Look at this guy over here. He just showed up to run earlier that day. He didn't know he was going to see history. This is the second fastest time ever. Only El Garouge, Hicham El Garouge, had run faster than Edward Cheserek before this race. These are all runners. They came to see a fast man run. I don't know if they knew exactly what was capable. Obviously, Piazza is showing Ches, and it's just kind of cool. 2 guys, they're not on the same team, but they kind of linked together to be a part of history, and Ches needed all of Drew Piazza's help today. And look at that, the arms are up. This guy's just still shocked. Just can't believe it. Again, we got more people doing it for the gram over here, but they're as excited as Ches is here. Let's see if we can move forward. We have a little bit more left, and Kidder should run over there. There's Haas. He's giving him some props at the very end. So there you have it. Edward Cheserek, his 3:49 mile, second fastest in history. Just an incredible race. It was fun to share it with you guys. Stay tuned for more telestrations on FloTrack coming up next week.